You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So we're now going to be talking on the telephone all about meditation. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us. If you could just introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit about yourself, that would be really great to start us off with.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me. I'm Gitte Winter. I'm a life coach and writer from Denmark.
Well, I was hoping you could start off by telling us a little bit about meditation and its importance for adults and children.
Yes. So in this hasty world we live in with so much going on and so many impressions, a lot of us tend to live quite stressful lives, and that goes for children as well, unfortunately. So many things have changed throughout the last decades, and speed in the society is just picking up every year. There are more and more impressions we need to deal with. So to me, it's important that we learn to navigate in all these impressions, and the best way to understand what's going on inside of us is through mindfulness and meditation. And knowing what goes on inside and getting to know our inner landscape is such a big help when we try to navigate and just turn down the speed and the noise of society for just a little while every day.
So I was hoping you could sort of expand a bit more into how meditation can work in our everyday lives.
Well, what I feel is that if I just go on and on and on and on and on every day, and with my children as well, and we don't pause and figure out how we're feeling and tune into our inner landscape, then there is a big chance that I can get lost. So every time I tune into myself, and I teach my children to do the same, I sort of get the answers of what is important to me and what I need to focus on. And I think a lot of the stress that we see in society today is because people tend to just go on and on and on. And along that road, they lose a way of navigating through life. And meditation for me is that pause and that break throughout the day when we actually tune in to what is important. And often, in my case, the answer is love. So tuning in on love and turning up the love energy inside is very often the answer to the questions I ask the universe when I meditate.
So tell us a little bit more about the vlogs online and also the website.
Yes, so I should go back to about 2012. I wrote a book called Student Life Without Stress for a Danish stress counselor who deals with university students and stress. And it made me reflect a lot going through the research of that book because I found out how many kids in Denmark, and hey, we are supposed to be the most happy country in the world, right? So many kids are suffering from stress, and it's not only university students, it's in high school and in public schools, and it goes all the way down to actually attending school for the first time. We see stress among the very young children who are just beginning school life as well. And when I wrote that book, my own girls were 3 and 6 years old, and I was looking at them, and I was seemingly doing everything right. So I'd been 4 years on maternity leave. I was a part-time mother. I had started my own business to be able to, be in control of my hours and what I was doing and when I was away and all these things. But I still felt that there was something they needed to learn that I didn't have to learn when I was a child, just because they're growing up in a different age. So I founded Room for Reflection, and I started thinking about what tools children today need to cope with the world that they're growing up with, simply because we are in 2017 now, and things are so different from when grandfathers and grandmothers were young, and even when we were young. So we say that a child today gets as many impressions as a child 100 years ago got in an entire year. So they have to deal with so many things on a daily basis, and we need to provide them tools to navigate, and we need to provide them tools to give their brains a pause and tune into their bodies so that they don't get sick and they don't suffer, and they sleep enough and they drink enough, and all these things that we also need to take care of.
Now, this is something that sounds interesting. I was hoping you could tell us a bit more about the Cloud for Children.
Yes, so one of the projects I started when I founded Room for Reflection was I thought that the idea of teaching my children heart meditation and to tune into their hearts at bedtime would be beneficial for them. And what I soon found was that every time we did this, they fell asleep with a little smile on their faces, and they fell asleep very easily. So this book I've written, The Children's Meditations in My Heart, has become known as the book that helps children to sleep. And one of the meditations the children get to know, there are 4 different meditations in the book. In the first, they are taught how to fill up their hearts with love. In the second, we talk about the love that we share. And in the third, the cloud meditation, they learn that the parents' love is with them wherever they are. So a lot of children deal with separation anxieties, and they feel that they are a lot away from their parents. And what I try to teach is that we might be more busy parents and we might be on more busy schedules, and the children have more activities today. But as a parent generation, we don't love our children any less than generations before us have done. We just don't seem to spend as much time with them. And in that way, we miss out on time to tell them how much we think about them and how much we love them. So giving them an understanding of how much we actually love them, even though we are not together with them, is really helpful in many families. So in the third meditation, they get to know that all the times when we are separated from, it could be just because we're at school or at work or traveling, or it could be divorce or something even more serious like sickness or death, that even though we are apart, the love can still travel between us, because love is all energy, and energy can travel between people who are even very far apart. So having had worked with these meditations for quite some time, I found that the cloud had become very important in many families. So when the child would go to school, the parent would say, remember, you have your love cloud and you know how to drag it down and get a hug from me. And I think about you all the day and I'll send you lots of love, and all these things, very reassuring for the child. So we had the little cloud from the meditation produced at a charity program in Nepal, in Kathmandu. We have had this little keychain produced with the cloud, and it's like a little cloud you can squeeze, and you can give it to the child to take it to school or to daycare. And when they miss a parent, they can squeeze the little cloud, and they're reminded to pull down energy from their cloud full of love. So the cloud has become very helpful for a lot of children, especially those who deal with anxieties and separation anxiety.
So how many meditation stories should you read at one time?
I recommend one at a time, and I recommend starting from the first story and reading on, and then when the child knows all the 4 meditations, you can ask the child before you start which one he or she wants to hear. And actually you can learn a lot from this selection of the child, what the child has a focus on and a need for. And I strongly invite parents to listen to their own intuition while they read. So if they want to combine some of the stories once they know them, it's very fine. If they want to include stuff in the meditations that I haven't written, it's very fine. So I have some examples. I had a girl who didn't want to go into the meditation without her puppy. So we just brought the puppy along, no problem. I had another mother say to me that her child would only read something if it had to do with Thomas the Train. So we sat down the child into the train, Thomas the Train, and the train was with the child all through the meditation. So feel free to use your intuition, and you know your child the best. So whatever could help your child get into the meditation is always good. There is one thing that is very important when we do these meditations with our children, and that's paying attention to our own energy. So I get a lot of emails from parents all over the world thanking me for having created a magical book that actually brings the children to sleep very easily. And what I always reply is that the book is wonderful, but the magic is the energy of the parent. So the shift in the energy of the parent is the real trick here. So the book teaches the parent to come into a loving energy around bedtime, and that's the magic of meditation at bedtime. It's actually the parent's energy. As soon as we as parents come into this loving heart energy and calm down, the child does the same, because they always reflect on our energy and they always mirror our energy. So the sooner we start to actually understand how much our energy affects our children, the better, because there is so much to learn from parenting ourselves first and becoming calm and heart-centered before we parent our children.
I was hoping you could tell us where the book's available from.
Yes. So if you go to roomforreflection.com, you get different options. So the book is out there as a PDF. It's available as a Kindle version and as a hard copy. And you can get all the links from our website at roomforreflection.com. And you can they will direct you to Amazon.cu.uk, where the book in hardcover in English is available.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time out to talk to our listeners here at BRFM Bridge Radio on the Daniel Monday Night Community Show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.